What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review the second album by rapper Rick Ross. Basically, this product is called Rise to Power, and it came out in the late summer of 2007. Now, the thing about this particular product here is this is not actually the sequel to Port of Miami from the late summer of 2006. Particularly, this is an unreleased album of just compilements of Rick Ross songs that he made before he signed to like his Slip and Slide label and Def Jam label in 2005, 2006, as far as his first album, maybe even as far back as 2004 or so. But within the pitch behind it, this is just stuff that Rick Ross was working on back in his earlier album days. I mean, Rick Ross had been around since like the early 2000s. He was on songs by like Trina and Trick Daddy, some of those type folks in like the early 2000s, but it just took him a little bit between mixtape type fare and pitches like that to drop an album in 2006. But just within the pitch, this is some of the stuff that he was working on before he really full bound put out more, before he particularly full bound put out Port of Miami as far as his first album. So this is not actually stuff that was 2007 Rick Ross within those fares. It says, Wikipedia says that at least some of this was recorded between 2000 and 2007, but there's not really a lot of it. It's not really like a lot of aspected details behind which particular songs were ones that he would have recorded in 2007 that would have been after the Port of Miami days. So I just would assume it's probably stuff between like 2000 and 2004, maybe 2005 or so at the latest within some of those type pitches. But look after here, good type product here. It did actually have a single pitch like that, and this, despite the fact that this has lower budget and production fare as far as this pitch can have, but it's actually not that terrible within the pitch. This is going to get a pretty close to like a classic score. Obviously, Rick Ross with like a label backing and full bound support within the aspect of something that has like folks like Justice League and like DJ Khaled beats some of those type pitches, and like Jazzy Face, some of those particular type folks that are on, and the Runners, some of those type folks that are on Port of Miami and Trill, some of those type fares within the pitch that would be seemingly like the better fare. But I like this kind of more hungry Rick Ross, some of the products of what he does with less to work with as far as those fares happen. It's not a terrible aspect here as far as this pitch kind of happen. Basically, just like a more seedy and kind of within the grit and in the cut type version of Port of Miami. It doesn't have like the big bass type rumblers like when you think of songs like Hustlin', obviously. Songs like Blow and The Boss, some of those type of ones, and like Push It to the Limit and Cross That Line, some of those big rumblers, and For the Low, some of those type pitches off of Port of Miami, some of those particular type fares. But it does have some good kind of diss. The aspect is some night commerce on here within this product that Rick Ross is still kind of amidst, like the night hustle, some of those type products. Rick Ross is someone that works late, so it's kind of the pitch that he's not someone that once it was like 4:30 p.m., 5:30 p.m. when the sun is setting that he's done. He has a lot of songs on here that kind of showcase the concept that he's still getting to the money even when it's like this, like his debut single Hustlin' kind of said this within the product that he didn't care if it was like 7 p.m. or 8:30 p.m., 9 p.m. pitches like that. He was still having some products that still being amidst like the night commerce within it. And these are not like night type songs in the pitch of just going out to a dance venue pitches like that or a strip club, some of those type fairs. It's actually amidst the grid of like having the concept of further money gets within that fair. So it's just within the pitch as far as saying that this is a little bit more amidst the trenches. If you need something that's not quite as recreational but is Rick Ross kind of within the fair, it's hustler's makeshift more so than full bound kind of blue collar type makeshift, but it's just within the pitch that it's a motivational enough type product to kind of get here within those aspects as far as saying that it has like the money get type songs just throughout. Some of these are kind of amidst like the day and lunch type fare, but a lot of these are real well past like 5 o'clock p.m. is more of like seedy kind of evenings within the pitch bond. So it's just good hustlers makeshift type product within the fair. Just very hustle oriented. Just proves the product that Rick Ross was like a clockwork hustler within some of those type pitch. So just good product here. Look after this. It's a pretty fun type album within the pitch as well. I look within the concept here just amidst like some of this. Despite the fact that Rick Ross is not on every single song, it's just kind of the product that it is kind of on the move in a lot of senses. It's just kind of, even if there's not full bound kind of strip club type songs on here, there's an early rendition of like the soulful Rick Ross, which was not necessarily on Port of Miami, so he was doing the numbers that he did on like Deeper Than Rap and like Teflon Don, some of those type pitches with songs like Blow, Block Life Is Our Way, some of those type pitches, and some of these Gigolo songs on here, which I don't know full bound who this Gigolo cat is, but he has 3 solo songs on here that Rick Ross are not on, so it's within the pitch. Out of the 14 songs on there, there's two skits out of the 16 songs, so it narrows it down to 14, and Rick Ross is only on 11, so the 3 extra songs that have Gigolo, at least 2 of those are pretty good. I almost feel like within a certain sense, between the concept, one of the songs I don't recommend on here is actually the factoid of 737, which is a pitch that's only a Gigolo song, so I don't know about full bound slash and score. I was going to give this album like a 9 out of 10, because I recommend 14. I recommend 11.5 out of 14, but I look within a pitch pitch as far as it may be 11.5 out of 13 within the pitch, because I feel like one of which is not really Rick Ross' actual song, so it's kind of within the pitch. It wasn't actually his fault, but it's just within the factoid as far as saying. But either way I look at it, it's going to get like either a 9 or a 9.25, because there's only really 2 full-blown songs I don't recommend and 1 almost song, so I look within the pitch. But there's some good type moments on here, just early renditions, and this barely feels like a 2000s album on top of that. It's just kind of the fair of, I mean, apart from like the song maybe Get That Brad and maybe like 1 or 2 other couple ones within some of those type pitches, I'd have to say Street Love probably could have been a single within some of those type of aspects, just in the pitch behind it as far as saying that particular fair, just because that one's pretty poppy, like a B2K type song within the pitch. A lot of this, wherever Rick Ross worked on this, he kind of was like a trendy type dude that probably would have set some trends had this came out back in 2002. This was definitely ahead of the times for 2002 or 2003, wherever it came out. This was more sonically pleasing than the stuff that was being worked on when you think of the stuff that was out, just not to name names within the pitch of what was out in 2001, 2003, 2005, some of those type fairs. So this is definitely kind of ahead of some of those trends, because Rick Ross was a product of like the mid 2000s, but he was also pretty huge in like the 2010s. So it's just in good type fairs. Some of these type ones that just had the particulars, but good type aspects. So yeah, just be able to say here. So the lead and only single off this product is Get That Brad, but I'll go ahead and say real quick, we'll get to these songs later, but the only 2 songs I don't recommend on here would just be basically 737 and then Prove Me Wrong within some of those type pitches. Then the almost song is Dear Lord as far as those first gonna happen. So we'll get to that, but basically Get That Bread is like a vintage kind of way old school Rick Ross kind of get here. It just reminds of For the Low off of Port of Miami album as far as this pitch gonna happen. Very similar to that particular type fashion, just like some yacht club, it's like some yacht cruising, like a more port type aspect, and just more beachside pitches like that. Some of that Miami-Dade, just good Miami-Dade nights out as far as this pitch gonna happen. Good Miami-Dade nights out as far as this pitch gonna happen. Just within the excellence of it, just feels great for like the hours. This is one of the few, like this one's kind of recreational. This is one of the few. This is kind of a recreational type one within a pitch, but also has like a little bit of miss, like the product. It's kind of the aspect of kind of hustle getting, but just a little bit of recreational type fare. Maybe smoking while you do it. Some of those type fares, having some grub in the car, having like some good Burger King, some of those type pitches, Arby's, some of that particular type fare. Just some good aspects of just like the product, just out and about within the aspect of just standard evening wind down, or just the relative, just relax, just kind of coasting type music as far as those first get happen. So it's basically like hustling. It's not as militant within the pitch behind. It's kind of the product of just like seedy kind of hustle commie within the pitch behind. So it's good type fare. And then some of these other type ones, there's really not another single off this product, but I'd probably say the closest thing on here would probably be Street Love within some of those type fares. I'll go ahead and talk about this one. It's like the most pop rap ready I had to say here. It just feels like a B2K or Usher song I'd had to say in like a sunny kind of Miami-Dade commerce as far as this pitch can have. So just the aspect as far as saying within the toll behind it, just the aspect of like the fare behind it, I would have to say here, just kind of the product of just like standard kind of beach house pitches like that, just surfing the Miami-Dade type area within some of those type fares, just Pink Skies pitches like that, just good product of just vacay type music within the aspect like standard usual day type fare within the pitch, good aspects, just real. I mean, obviously this like the concept behind this album is the budget. Once again, these productions on here are not going to be like Runners type beats, DJ Khaled type beats within the pitch, but it is a good product to say that this is actually pretty affable, especially for where it was probably made back in 2002, 2003. So it's good type fare. This probably would have been a good pop rap type single, I would have said, but. So yeah, talk about some of these songs in here. So Dear Lord is a decent song. This is the almost song. This starts off real hectic and feral, and then it switches later to like a breather of like repent and kind of ruminate type music. Good song to talk to amidst those aspects. But I kind of feel like the first part of the song, I really like the tone behind just the frenetic pace of just being out in amidst like the night wind, and then kind of switching down as far as this pitch can happen to just later on. It's kind of just like, all right, just having the concept about regret and some of those particular type fares, just kind of within the pitch. I don't know, it's just not as affable within the second half of the song. I mean, I guess I see the affability behind that particular song as far as the fares can happen, just kind of in between type moments, just kind of the pace, the dislike, cooling off a bit, kind of getting to the fare of like something, picking up some snackage, having like a bag of checks, make some of those type fares, just a cool beer in your hand, some of that particular type fares, just kind of the aspect as far as saying, I mean, like I said, a lot of this is just amidst like the night hustle kind of within the pitch. It's just kind of the product of this kind of in between type motions, a disc. The beginning of Dear Lord is kind of amidst that, and Scarface is on this particular song. It's pretty good concept. It's pretty good concept that Scarface, Devin the Dude, some of these type folks, clips of some of these type. The clips from Pharrell affiliates, the clips are on here as well, so some pretty good pitches that Rick Ross had these folks back in the early 2000s. It was just kind of the pitch as far as saying that, yeah, this would look after. Is this kind of amidst the night hustle as far as what's first going to happen? So I don't know. I would almost think maybe within the fashion this song could be recommended. I just question the concept of, is this kind of more amidst like the night wind type fare within the pitch? If you're not really amidst like the town hops pitches like that, able to get like routine snackage, with my aspects not having that particular fare. So it's just within the pitch. If you're not making gas station runs, some of those type pitches, and getting some of those goodies, Taco Bell runs pitches like that. It's not as affable within the sense, but it does have the product of it. So it's just kind of more haphazard. But I'll go ahead and recommend the song just within the pitch because it is a good song. So just to say, I'll probably go ahead and give this album just more or less like probably pretty close to like a 9.25. We'll get to it. I'll talk about this album a little bit more. But just being able to say here, Ben is a real nice one. Now, this is a Gigolo only song. It's like a good buzz single, I'd have to say, and good turn up, I'd have to suppose here. Just definite 3-6 Mafia kind of snack run vibes about this particular song. Just some night terror about this one. So, it's this kind of aspect. This would have been a nice one for Rick Ross to have been on, just because there's not a ton actually of recreational type songs in here within those fares. Like, this is a pretty frenetic and does have some good jive about this product, but it's just a little bit more amidst like the street living, kind of the concept of just out and about type, more quick pacedness, more so than the full bound being at dance clubs and pitches like that. This is actually not as much of like an indulgent type project within the fair, minus like maybe Get That Bread, and that's pretty much about it. I mean, Blow is kind of like a smoking song within a relative type pitch, but most of this is just kind of miss like the living. It is kind of getting towards the night product, but Ben at least does that particular same sort of fare. This is probably one that could be within a relative venue type pitch, but just more snack run type vibes, pretty similar to 3-6 Mafia 2005, 2008, some of those type fares, just only with this cat named Gigolo as apart from Rick Ross, I'd say. So good type pitch. Another one that's kind of missed the night product is It's On. It's like a late work day, kind of wrapping up Harrows just within the pitch, some of that type fare. Just typical kind of dredgy commerce, I'd have to say here. Just get a few supplies, I'd recommend for some of that. The particular fare about this, just kind of the concept of Rick Ross basically underneath the pitch as far as it being, yeah, it's 6:30, 7:30 pitches like that. Stuff still isn't complete. Just got to have some late runs, some of those type pitches. I would just recommend with this song, easily kind of getting, like 12 pack of beer, some of those type pitches, just something to kind of take the edge off some of those type pitches within the aspect behind as far as this fair is going to happen. Just something, some sort of swishers or just something, kind of just a reminder that even if it is kind of a late day within some of those type pitches, just have the product of just something that just eases it as far as this pitch can happen, just kind of amidst that. But just some evening type fare, just kind of like hustling, just kind of more lengthy within the pitch. I mean, Rick Ross was not quite as hustle bound, despite hustling being the lead single of that album. It wasn't filled with those particular type products. It was just a little bit of a glossier and more indulgent type project on that particular one. But this one just has a little bit more kind of just getting some, your hands get dirty on this. There's the song I'm going to talk about hands being dirty on some of these type ones, just kind of the pitch behind some of these. So yeah, speaking of that, Hold Me Down is a nice one here. It's like a basic mid 2000s kind of hustle tune. I'd have to say just seedy Miami grit. I'd have to say here just amidst the grind. I'd have to say just hands dirty kind of song within some of those type pitches. So this is just one. This almost kind of reminds me of a 50 Cent type song within the pitch behind it. It's just kind of amongst. This feels like a typical kind of Dr. Dre piano type production that he would have done for Devin the Dude or Exhibit. Some of those particular type. It's just a basic kind of Dr. Dre type beat, just in a more southern type format within the pitch behind it. Just typical type one, standard kind of piano type fare, just basic kind of hustle, basic standard fare for like motivational type noise within the pitch behind it. Good type concept. Bird Bath is a nice one here. It's like a creeping amidst like the night haze, kind of good wide awake prowl to kind of get within some of these aspects. Definitely a good song for goodies, some toke up kind of aspects here, and just good overall fun song within the pitch behind. So just kind of missed the product of Demon Time. Both the songs Bird Bath and Simple and Plain are not as full bound kind of frenetic within the pitch behind it, but it's just kind of the product of just being like 8:30, 9:45, 10:15 p.m. pitches like that, and just being wide awake just amidst the product of just getting some stuff done, just kind of amidst like more night owl type territory within the pitch behind it. So yeah, just like I said, Bird Bath's like a creeping one, just amidst like the night haze, some of that particular type fare. Good song to stock up on goodies, get some of those type pitches, obviously within the concept, whether it is just getting, like bugles or something like that, some of those particular type fares, just getting some good stuff, get like a Fanta, one of those type pitches within the aspect behind it. It's kind of miss like the night product, but I mean, within the aspect behind it, you take the aspect here, just paying attention to the concept that this is kind of within, it is kind of within the context of standard kind of hustlers makeshift within the pitch. So listening to the lyrics is not like Rick Ross is saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna go out and get a Frosty at Wendy's or something like that within the pitch, but you get the product of just the in-between type moments of just stocking up on like some just night type fare for Demon Times just within the pitch. I look after a good type fare. Simple and Plain is just like Bird Bath, like I was saying, it's like more stock kind of dope night product that has to say here, it goes great with Bird Bath, like I was saying, this is some Demon Time fun within the pitch. So this is a product, is good 1-2 punch for some of these. Also would say songs like It's On, some of these type pitches, Hold Me Down are pretty good for that particular type fare, just would have to say. I want to say it probably Strapped is pretty close to that. That one, I mean, Simple and Plain is a little bit more productive, but Strapped is still kind of a miss, like the Day After Hours, I'd have to say, just say within some of those type ones. But Strapped is a nice one here. It's like Day After Hours, kind of fraternize, kind of get here, just the concept of you and some pals, just kind of the pitch of this kind of driveway type music within the aspect, just basic chat, just basic fresh kind of wrap up simp music to kind of get here. by basic fresh wrap up, I mean the concept of worship being done is kind of the product of not as much full bound responsibility is kind of done, but just the product, this extra type fare as far as figuring out what's going to happen, whether it is just for their amidst like day hustle type things or just more times of whether or not it's going to head to a venue within the pitch. Just basic simp type music, just toke on porches as far as this pitch going to happen. It's kind of the product, just toke in the backyard, some of that particular type fare, just grab a cold brew, something like that, just figure out the concept of what's happening for like for the second half of the day, the night hours, the PM hours, as far as this pitch can happen. So it's just going to pitch that. Breathe In, Breathe Out is a nice one. This is another Gigolo only song, but this is like a jury kind of chillax type local saunter kind of get within these aspects. Good R&B flavor about this one. Barely feels like a 2000 song within the pitch behind. I don't know who this particular Gigolo type cat is. I would almost say Rick Ross should probably dig up this particular cat and do another song with him in recent times, or at least probably that should have happened back in 2010, 2014, some of those type fairs. But in the pitch, it's interesting that he handles these particular songs because apparently he is at least a producer within some of those type aspects. That he has some of these particular type fairs. He has some pretty decent trendy type bops on here that just don't feel like the stuff that was kind of popping in 2003, 2006, or 2008, even some of those type pitches within the fair behind. So it's just good type fair, but it's just basically like a good R&B flavor type song. Probably could have been another choice for like a pop rap type single within a pitch, but probably would have needed Rick Ross on there, but still some good type fair. I don't know if I talked about Blow, but this is a nice one. Blow stands for Block Life is Our Way within the pitch behind it. It's an acronym, so I look after it here. This is like a floaty kind of Blow is like a floaty kind of grandiose smokish tune to kind of get here. Just an early bird for soulful Rick Ross, that I'd say, just lavish kind of day product within the pitch behind it. Almost kind of hotel type music, but just a light type one within the pitch behind this. Kind of like an early primer for what Rick Ross is going to do in 2009, 2010, the early 2010s, some of those stuff here. It's just good type pitch. Maybe not as full bound kind of kingpin type within the pitch behind it, but just with the aspect of like that relative within the aspect of just that relative type product of it. Just kind of amidst like still kind of more of like a Hunna and a Shata type do within the pitch. Is still kind of getting your hands dirty within the aspect, but still amidst like the product is just like some good smokish type air, just for a good type product to that, good type pitch. I think another one I haven't talked about on here is Realist Niggas. It's like a more frenetic kind of night commerce that I'd say, just ready to put work in, definitely within the pitch, just productive, kind of stoked up type music within the pitch, just wide awake type fair within the fair behind it. This is further type songs that go along with songs like Bird Bath and Simple and Plain, some of those type pitches within the aspect behind it. Like I said, pretty productive type album within the pitch. I like the late hours, just after hours type effect within the pitch behind it. So good type fair. So I think I talked about every song in here as far as those pitch can happen. Just within the aspect of it here, I talked about all 11 of these songs I recommend out of the 12 or 13, out of the 13 or 14. So within the pitch, the only two songs I don't recommend on here, basically 737 is just kind of the pitch as far as saying 737 was just a poor type one that was just trying to be like Rubber Band Man by T.I. as far as those pitch can happen. It's kind of a relative day type fair just within the pitch behind it. It's kind of more saunter type music within the aspect, but just didn't nail it as well as probably like a song like Street Love kind of did. Just kind of the product of just trying to do some of that particular kind of summer antics and chigger type music type fair within the pitch behind it. Just kind of an awkward type one that didn't have as much affability. I don't know if even Rick Ross being on 737 would have changed the quality of that song. It's just the production type fair that wasn't as affable. And then basically like Prove Me Wrong was just kind of a rumination type song within the fair behind it. Just one that didn't have as much affable vibes. It was just kind of another poor type production type one that just didn't have as much connect towards as far as the pitch can happen. Just very spare within the moments of ones that didn't have some degree of connect, but these were just some extra time type ones that didn't have the pitch behind it. So I look after it. I would go ahead and say that basically 11 out of 14 within the pitch, or I would go ahead and say that 12 out of 14. I'm going to go ahead and give this album like a 9.25 out of 10 because I do think now, I feel like moreover I recommend Dear Lord. That is a good enough type one within the pitch. Just kind of the aspect, I just would say the frequency of the oftenness of me listening to it with not having as many snack runs as just the fair, but I still would say it's a good enough song within the pitch. So I'm going to give this album like a 9.25 out of 10. Pretty close to getting a classic score, and I know that's relatively, some folks may say. I will admit that there is kind of a learning curve. I will kind of admit that there's like a learning curve about this product. It's not going to have the I will kind of admit that there's like a learning curve about this product. It's not going to have the bombastic kind of just number 1 singles, number 5 singles pitches like that when you think of songs like Hustlin', or even like the affable kind of big bass numbers like Push It to the Limit or Cross That Line, like the big names like Akon or Lil Wayne on their pitches like that, even though Scarface and Devin the Dude and folks like that are on here. This kind of pitch is more lower budget, kind of hungry type Rick Ross, but it definitely exceeds in like these concepts of having like these night hustle type songs that are just late shift type ones that kind of have like some good hustle type product, as far as having like a little bit more energy when the sun sets and pitches like that. So like I said, not terribly much indulgentness and just more recreation type fare. A ton of songs to really smoke to, apart from maybe like the song "Blow" as far as what's pitch can happen. But I would have to say, for just the concept of being more amidst the grit and having some moments of just like some late type fare, just the product of just having like some times where you have to get to the nitty gritty pitch like that. This kind of aspect of getting on the grind a little bit better and having some late day kind of hustle mentalities just within the pitch. That this is kind of a motivator within the pitch. As similar type vibes like Jeezy around those particular times. Rick Ross is pretty good at that as well. So it's just good type pitch. So less kind of like Friday type music, just more kind of weekday type music, just in a more kind of, I mean, it like Rick Ross is not a square where it's only money getting pitches like that, but it's just kind of the product that is just going to be more traverse and just things like that, just kind of on the go centric within the pitch, that you're just kind of smoking while in movement, as opposed to just being at a crib or a venue, something like that, or your girl's house, some of those particular type fairs as far as these smoke type sessions within the pitch. So it's just kind of the product of just being tore up within a pitch, but just kind of being productive with it. So it's not like you're sober the whole way. It's just kind of the pitch that it just has stuff to do. It's just kind of a preoccupied type album in terms of the grit. So it's just kind of the concept. I look after it. It's a 9.25 score, and as a result, that's what I was talking about with the social score. So the social score I'll probably give like an 8.75 out of 10. I look within the pitch. This is a fun type album within the pitch behind it, but I think it probably could have used at least one or two dance venue type songs, something like that, for some sort of money throwing pitches like that, just a strip club song, some of those particular type fairs, and within the aspect of gloss and stunt flex type songs, some of those type pitches, is something for like a little bit more of just like freneticness. But for the most part, like I said, this is a fun type album within the pitch. It's just kind of more in motion. You just have to kind of juggle that particular aspect. It's just kind of more set out and within the curriculum of just being in motion within the pitches behind. So it's just something to understand within that particular product. Not necessarily claustral, but just within the pitch, just saying you got stuff to do, just time is money within the aspect. Not as if that's a full bound having to obey that mindset, but it's just within the pitch, saying it's just kind of a component of it. So it's just within the pitch. So 8.75. In terms of future, like Rick Ross, I think he put out an album in 2023. I don't know if he's put out something in 2025. I don't think he did in 2024. I think he's working on something at least within particular fairs. We'll have to see what particularly happens with it, but it should be some good type concept to get to some of this. But this is kind of a secret Rick Ross album. It's not actually like his second album. He didn't work on this in 2007. It's just some good type pitches of stuff that he did in his early days. Mostly pretty damn hitting, pretty close to like a classic, and just some underappreciated Rick Ross that does have like the mentality of making night hustles kind of fun.